What is up, everyone? JD here. Hope you're doing well today. Got a review for you. Let's jump into it. All right, guys, we are looking at a brand new model from QSP. This is the Ripley, another crossbar lock from QSP, but how's it going to stack up against the Volt, which I like very much. All right, let's go ahead and jump into my thoughts and impressions, and then we'll do some size comparisons, some cutting, and all that good stuff with this one as well. Let's go ahead and get the lock test out of the way with this one. The Volt passed with flying colors. It is a crossbar lock. I think it'll do just fine. All right, no surprises there. 100% locked up with the bar going across there. Very strong springs. And they got that locked face geometry dialed in. So those results did not surprise me at all. I hadn't tested it before then. So I'm very happy with that. You have a very beautiful static washed 14C 28N blade. You got thumb studs here for deployment. Very well done. Nicely stepped. Good size. You got crossbar lock, as I mentioned earlier, for the lock mechanism, and it also has stepped thumb studs for that lock bar. And then you have peel ply G10, very good texturing, not so aggressive that you're going to have to worry about this one shredding your pockets. Really cool little design here. This is the Ripley, which I believe is inspired from the Alien movies, so kind of got your little three claws going across there, at least that's what I think. And then they extend to the bottom and the top as well, and then the jimping going a little bit further than that. You got a nested fold over steel deep carry pocket clip, and when I say deep, I mean ultra deep. It is hanging off of the back there. You also have a filler tab on here, which I think is a beautiful touch from QSP. I love to see that. It's nice, makes it dressed up a little bit more, make it look a little bit more premium, even though this does give total work knife vibes. For your lanyard people out there, they even included a hole without sacrificing pocket clip placement. And then you have two screws here and here for the disassembly. And then you got one more here for the bolstering of the bearings that are on here for it to ride on and for the lock itself. Well, the bolstering is for the lock, but also your bearings are riding on that little steel insert. The knife itself has excellent ergos. It's a full-size knife. Handle definitely allows me to get all four fingers on here, no issues whatsoever. A little bit of space off of the back there, and you can see nothing really hanging out the back, kind of comes flush with the hand, but very, very nice purchase on here. The 14C 28N came with a nice edge from the factory. It cut on the opening slice through the paper just fine. It's got a good geometry, like an EDC geometry. It's not ultra slicey, it's not an ultra laser beam, but it is slicey and it does cut well. Went through the cardboard very well. No issues. It was comfortable. I did notice where they had the little design patterns while I was holding the knife, and I did notice where the pocket clip was, but I'm using the word notice, not to say that it felt uncomfortable or that it was a hot spot. I felt like I could really truly use this for long periods of times with no issues. I don't think it would cause any serious discomfort. For the draw cuts, you got a typical drop point blade shape. I said spear point, Lord have mercy. And the drop point blade shape worked fine for the draw cuts, the utility cuts. Keep in mind, this is a bigger knife, so the blade is further out. So the smaller your hand gets, the further away you will be from that tip. So it could present a problem for you, but to me, this is meant as a working knife to do heavy cutting. Stropped it up. 14C 28N is very common for this. Not great at holding an edge when pushing through hard and heavy materials. A fine edge, but it will still cut. And then once you strop it up and you bring that edge back, which is really easy to do with 14C 28N, very easy to maintenance. After you use it hard, just hone it and strop it. That'll be how you can keep the edge going on a knife that the steel is allowing it to be very affordable. Obviously, if it was something that had higher edge retention, it would pull that price up. In order to keep this down at this price point, They put 14C28N on here, which is great. It's tough, easy to maintain, and it's going to suit you fine for your everyday task. Now, it is on a hard use knife, and again, you could cut through dense, heavy materials for a long time, but if you needed to do something where you needed it to be a little bit more slicey with less resistance, it is going to lose that edge. You're just going to want to, at the end of the day, 5 to 10 strops on either side should bring it back pretty quick and keep that edge going. Let's do actually a couple of cons. So I like the ergos. The blade geometry and blade shape are good. I like the attention to details here with the design. You got the textured G10. You got chamfering around the edges. You got some cool little pattern and theme going on with it. A filler tab for the opposite side that the pocket clip sits on. They did a good job to make sure that this does work right and left-handed. It is a complete ambidextrous lock system, giving you the exact same experience right or left-handed, which is big time, I believe. Great price point on this as well. The sharpening tool, though, is a little bit of a miss, and we're going to bring a knife that we're going to do for the size comparison out here to help me point it out. But the plunge grind, because they angled it, I guess, it kind of wraps down, and the angle actually brings it right perfect to the edge. So the plunge grind stops where the edge stops. So as you sharpen it, you're going to develop a smile over time. Thankfully, though, the lock bar sits way back here. So all you would need to do is just take it and just add your own. I would probably just do a straight cut up into it. You're not going to lose much edge. And the more angle you put on there, the more sharpening life that you're going to have. So that is a unfortunate thing that they didn't get that plunge grind perfect on there, but at this price point, I'm going to kind of let that slide a little bit. Jimping on the back of the blade works really well, and it's got a nice flat spine all the way out, so when you're in that pinch grip and you're going out to the tip to do that detailed work, it does work really good, and you have somewhere to rest your index finger to push and to power into those draw cuts to get that detail cut that you need done, taken care of. Bearings in the pivot, we haven't done the disassembly yet. We're going to do that at the end of this particular portion before we get to the score and before we get to the size comparisons. Actually, we'll do the size comparisons, then we'll disassemble it, and then we'll score it and wrap up. Detent on here is even more stout, and you hear me, I to this point had the glide lock on the Vault as being the best lockup geometry I've ever experienced on a crossbar lock. It truly feels like a detent on a knife, like a typical detent. This feels like a stout detent on a knife where you would be like, whoa, that's pretty stout. Might be a little hard for somebody with weak or small hands to deploy this one. That is really impressive, and again, I'll show you when we disassemble it, but QSP has decided to create a wall for the lock to overcome when you're opening it, whereas most, like the clutch lock on Kaisers, Benchmades, etc., have just like a slight angle for it to roll over so that you still can overcome it, but this one here is a wall, and you can feel the lock trying to climb over it. So you can see the lock moving way back into the open position and then resting in the middle as it starts to settle down here. Like you can see, this is the point where you start to have the lock start to overcome to get into the lock position, so fully opened, and now that it's rested, it's in that fully extended position here, or locked out position, and then it mirrors that. You got a little bit more going forward here with the lock, so that is something to take note of. I wonder over time. Now it looks like there's just a little bit of play there. So it looks like it has the ability to slide up a little bit more, because I would worry about lock rock developing, which it doesn't have right now. But very nice. I'm enjoying that a lot. We'll wrap up final thoughts and impressions. I'm going to go ahead and do the disassembly. And actually, you know what? I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to do the disassembly separate, because this might take a while. Let's go ahead and wrap up. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons first. And as you can see here, a full-size knife, it's even bigger than the Manix 2 lightweight. So let's do a couple more. Got a couple of budget knives out here. We got the Civivi X1 and we got the QSP Vault, because I thought it would be good to see how much bigger the Ripley is over what I would consider a full-size Vault, kind of like in that bug-out realm. Let's close up and check the close profile, and then we'll weigh out the knife. All right, we have them closed out on the table. You can see the Vault is probably more of a EDC size. Like I said, it's still a full-size knife, but it's like barely full size, whereas this has a little bit space left over. So it's going to take up more space in the pocket. It's going to be more comparable to your Manix 2 lightweight as far as deepness, riding into the pocket, and then obviously the profile of the Manix 2 is going to be more so there, or take up more space with the height. Let's go ahead and grab the scale and check out the weight. All right, we have the scale out here, cutting it on. I'm thinking this is going to be over 4. Oh, wow. I'm really surprised by that. 3.6, which means it's not that far off from the Vault, because the Vault is 4.1, which is why I was thinking this is going to be over 4. But they're definitely full steel liners going all the way through on the Vault, whereas this just has the cartridge and then full G10 liners. All right, let's go ahead and score it out and wrap up my thoughts and impressions. Okay, thoughts and impressions time, guys. We're going to score this one out. What goes into the score for me? Overall value, fit, finish, performance, ergos, everything that I take into consideration while using the knife, handling the knife, thinking about the long-term maintenance and longevity of the edge and how long that's going to hold up and how often I'll have to touch it. All of that goes into the score. Now, I will say budget knives, because the materials are limited, cap. 7 being perfection in the budget realm. I really like this. The ergos are good. I do feel a little bit of these little edges here from the rips that are going through on that, and then I don't really feel the pocket clip. I mean, I feel that it's there, but it's not really a hot spot. Good jimping, a little bit of a thicker geometry, more of your worker style knife. I'm going to score this one out at and the sharpening tool, I forgot about that. I'm going to go 5.9 on this one. Nice solid score, above average. You just got G10 and 14C28N, so nothing super exciting. They did do some design elements here, and they did a really good job, an excellent job on their crossbar lock. This is definitely the most stout to date, again, that I've experienced with opening the crossbar lock on this one. It's kind of bananas. Being that it's a little bit bigger, I keep forgetting I got to wait a little bit longer for it to come home to close it out. And steel hardware everywhere. Nothing super special as far as that's concerned. It's a good full-size knife that they did an excellent job on the crossbar lock with. Just some minor things with the ergos and that sharpening choil kind of holding it back a little bit here. And then, I think even when you take a look at, like I said, the Vault, you got that aluminum bolster and you got the micarta scale over here. And then you have a deep carry pocket clip mounted in the rear. So just and the way that the slide locks or the cartridges are for the Vault, the glide lock, sorry, the cartridges for the glide lock are on here. I like it a little bit better, a little bit smoother, and while still a very stout crossbar lock deployment, I would probably say this one here is going to be something that I would be more comfortable telling more people that they would enjoy the experience of. This one here, if you have smaller, weaker hands, it's actually really strong, where I would almost caution you, if you have any issues with heavy detents, you may want to just stay away from this one. But if you have the hand that supports having a knife this big and using a knife this big, I imagine you'll have enough strength and you'll probably enjoy it. So those are all the things that went into account for me for the Ripley. I like this. I think it's a very solid knife at 5.9, very solid score, almost into the 6s, but not quite special enough. I think the Vault and things like that are really special and get you into the sixes, which is really hard to do for budget. So hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of where I'm at with this one. But I like it. I can definitely recommend it, especially if you like a full-size folder. If you like a worker, this is definitely easy to recommend. And again, it's a steel that's going to be very easy to maintain and strop after you beat on it for a day. Let me know what you think about the Ripley in the comments below. Do you like this one? Are you going to pick one up? Have you experienced it yet already or not? Or are you going to go towards the Vault based off of the recommendation I'm making with this one? Unfortunately, by the time this gets out, it's going to be too late, but they're having a Labor Day sale as of the recording of this. So the Vault is now at $64, and I think this one's like $67 or something like that. So the Vault's actually even cheaper. But anyway, if you're not interested in this, just say hi in the comments. And on the way out, if you could, hit that like. I'd really appreciate it. Shout out to the channel members. I love you guys. You are all amazing, and I hope you have a fantastic week. I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace.